Good morning, game makers. Today, I'm going to go over what's going to be on the quiz on Friday, and I'm going to create a little bit of replay value in my game by having some random things happen. So here's what you're going to need to know on the quiz tomorrow. You're going to need to know whether or not objects can exist outside the room. You're going to need to know the difference between getting rid of an object that originates on screen and one that doesn't. You're going to need to know what it's called when something can inherit the behavior of another object. If you specify actions in an event, what effect does that have? And of course, then we'll talk about what we're going to do today, adding replay value by having random and unpredictable outcomes, and the difference between a temporary or local variable and some of the other variables that we've been using. So let's go ahead and get started. I did make a few changes to my enemy 2. I didn't like the rate in which it was shooting bullets. So I did change, you can see here, I changed some of the timing to increase the frequency of when it would shoot and make sure that sometimes the enemy might only shoot once on screen and sometimes it might shoot multiple times. But my focus today is going to be on getting the enemies generated in some sort of random fashion so that you would have the first time you play, you might see enemy 2 more often, might be less often. And of course, as we add enemies, that will improve our game immensely. So back here to the object control in the create event, you can see that right now I only have an alarm, and that alarm only generates an enemy 1 or basic enemy. So to make it so that we can generate either enemy, I'm going to first of all I'm going to create a randomize. I'm going to use the randomize function, and randomize basically shuffles the deck. We've talked about it before, but it ensures that our outcome is going to be truly random. It's not going to be the same each time you play through. In Gamemaker 1.4, we had to actually type that into code. Gamemaker 2 actually has the drag and drop option. So we're going to use what's called a temporary or local variable. And a temporary variable is one that only exists for the length of the event. So that means at the end of this event, when it's run through all of this code, it's going to forget whatever that variable came out to be. And that's fine because we're only going to use it to determine which enemy we're going to create. So I'm going to drag over here, declare temp. Now, if we were doing coding, you declare a temporary variable by putting a VAR in front of it. So VAR, for in this case, I'm going to use chance because I could have used coin flip because at this point it's going to be a 50-50 outcome. I could have used who knows or any combination of words because I'm just essentially making this variable up. And an instance variable, on the other hand, like speed or direction, all of those are kept in memory the entire time the instance exists. So it is stored in memory until that instance is destroyed. Temporary variable is forgotten as soon as it gets off uh, this event. So it's like a Dixie cup where you get a drink of water and you throw it away immediately. You don't keep it. You just toss it away right away. And that's sort of what a local or temporary variable is like. That is on your quiz. So I'm going to say that I want chance to equal a random integer with the high end of 1. So I really only can get 2 options here. I can get a 0 or a 1 because I used random. That's a little small because I'm going to do a lot of actions, but I'll zoom in so you can see it. So chance is randomly going to be assigned either a 0 or 1 here. So when do I create an enemy basic? Well, if chance is equal to 0. So if chance is equal to 0, I got to slide this over here. Then it's going to create a basic enemy or enemy 1, whatever you decided to call your basic enemy. Now, right now, if I leave it like this, I will get an enemy about half of the time. And that's not exactly what I want. I want there to be an enemy created no matter what. So in order to do that, I'm going to use this word else. And this is also on your quiz. Else means if this isn't true, then do this. So if chance is not equal to 0, then it must be equal to 1. But I don't really need to say that because it's the only other possible outcome. So if chance comes out to be 1, then it's going to create, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy and paste that event, drag it down here, and I'm just going to change the enemy that it creates. So it's going to create enemy 2, and it's going to be created at a random room width 32 pixels above the screen. Now, I think my enemies are only, I think the sprites are 40 by 40. So I'm going to look at that real quick. I use 32 just so I could have a buffer, so it's 41 by 41. So really, I don't need to go 32 pixels above the screen. I could say um, 21 pixels above the screen, and they'd still be, that would still mean that I wouldn't see it just pop into existence magically. It would still appear to be coming off. But I like to leave a little bit of a margin in, so I'm just used to using 32. It's just a personal preference. So let's see what happens. I should get every second now either an enemy 1 or an enemy 2 randomly selected. I still have that one enemy in the room, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of him because I don't want to make things confusing. So let's go. I should be able to get enemies coming every second, randomly selected. So if chance happens to be 0, I get an enemy 1. If chance randomly rolls a 1, I get an enemy 2. So that's how you can use some randomized features in order to get a random outcome. And you can see I can still shoot because the collision event is inherited using that parent-child relationship. Um, you can see my enemy 2 does shoot a little more frequently. And so I have a little bit of a game I can play now. So those are all things that are going to be on your quiz. If you see something that you're not quite clear on, ask me today because I can't really answer that question tomorrow when the quiz is in front of you. Thanks for watching. Enjoy your day.